Yo, what's good, family? It's your man, the YB, back once again. Oh no, we got some truly Pikachu news right now for your man's Daniel Dubois, who has been punked by some 100-year-old game running Donny, a true gangster through and through. I don't know about you, man, but as far as I'm aware, I ain't never heard of no cat 95-year-old still running games on these dopey ass 2022 young bucks. It's got to be said that Frank Warren need to fix his game up. I don't know what he's done since Snatch. Listen, fair play to Frank. Yeah, Snatch came out 22 years ago, so maybe he left the game. Maybe he's not very sharp now on these new ways, but you got to salute Don King, because Don King running game on Bricktop right now. Yeah, 95-year-old, and he punking these young cats. You'd have thought, wait there a minute, we already know the game Don King plays. Let's not go into business at some random ass show where the roof's leaking. Do you really think a man who's hired a venue that was empty and had a roof leaking is going to pay you $2 million for fighting his bum fighter? I don't think so. And even though I didn't say anything at the time, yeah, I swear to God I thought this don't feel right. The minute I heard about the roof was leaking, I thought, where are they doing this at? I'm sorry, but I've never heard of men getting paid $2 million, yeah, to fight in an arena with a roof leaking. And there was literally no one there. Honestly, it looked like the level of vacancy or the capacity that was used here, it looked like if any of you, man, have ever been to like a kind of a low-level swimming competition where it's like parents and, you know what I mean, parents and kids and whatnot in the crowd, or any sort of low-level sports event, and there's basically the parents of the competitors at the event. That's it. That's what it was like there. And you telling me you got a multi-million-dollar heavyweight boxing fight for for none less than the WBA regular world championship of the world? I don't think so. Nonetheless, Frank Warren flew straight out there, no assurances. Listen, if I'm dealing with Don King, yeah, under them circumstances, fair enough. If Don King's putting money up to book the MSG, it's slightly different, because you know it comes with a level of, you know what I mean? You've got to have $1 million to start with to even book the MSG. Deposit, simple. But when you're booking out some random ass leisure centre, there's big red flags. And I expected more from Bricktop. Bricktop, like I said, he had a massive starring part in the film Snatch. And I thought that, you know what Bricktop's like, yeah? Bricktop's been running the London underworld for the last 40 years. There's no way Don King at 95-year-old gonna be spinning and running game on Mr. Bricktop, Frank Warren. And here we are. Anyway, let's stop waffling and get to it. Daniel Dubois sues Don King for non-payment of KO of Trevor Bumman. After England's Daniel Dubois came to the US and rolled up and smoked on the Trevor Bryan pack to win the WBA regular heavyweight title on June 11th. He left with the belt, but without the purse money promoter Don King owed him for the fight. He alleged in lawsuit. Dubois on Monday night sued Don King Productions in Circuit Court of Broward County, Florida, alleging breach of contract because King's company has failed to pay him for the bout, which he won by one-sided fourth-round knockout at the Casino Miami Jal Al Jal. There you go. Again, ain't being funny here. When you're a manager and I've already told you, Bricktop, Frank Warren, he's been in this game for 40 years. I don't know about you yet, but the minute I hear about a WBA regular world championship, heavyweight WBA regular world championship being fought for in the Casino Miami Jala Jali, what is this? Where are they doing that at? Now listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. The only way I'm fighting at an arena called the Jale Jale is if it's in the UAE. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's there. Obviously, listen, if Don King was doing this kind of event and it was at the Jale Jale in UAE, I say, boom, that's certified. But in the US, anything called Jale Jale, no good. Yeah, that's some next backroom thing. Some next scam thing. And I won't be surprised to hear that they're all in cahoots. I won't be surprised to hear that the venue is in cahoots and or run and or financed by Don King. One of them in-house ones. Don King's renowned for doing things in-house. That's the best way to cook the books and to punk people. And what Don King was renowned for doing as well, he sets up these little side companies. For example, Don King Productions. That's not his main one. I'm sure his main one is like Don King Promotions. Don King, yeah, if you're not sharp, if you're not on the game, Don King will make a new company. People like Frank Warren, yeah, will assume, oh well, it's Don King's main one. He'll make a company just for that event. Put the event on. Yeah, we're going to pay you $2 million. Get you in there. And then boom. You sue him in court. But you're suing the fake one. You're suing the one with no assets. So you end up with squat, and you end up actually paying another $100,000 in legal fees. You're just throwing more money, more good money, after bad. Don King ain't never pay his debts. He ain't paying no debts. That company will be defunct right now. Oops. Shocking. I really am shocked that Frank Warren's allowed himself to have this kind of game ran on him by a 95-year-old man. Don King's renowned for being unscrupulous, and here we go again. Anyway, let's do some more. The fighter hasn't gotten paid, and when boxers get in the ring, I don't want to hear no more about that risking their lives business, man, but whatever. This fighter hasn't gotten paid, and when boxers get in the ring and risk their lives, the most important obligation of the promoter, the sanctioning body, and the commission is to see that they are paid, and that hasn't been done here. Leon Margules, Dubois' attorney, told Big Fight Weekend. King, Trevor Bumman's promoter, won the right to promote the fight at a WBA purse bid on March 21st with an offer of $3.1 million. I mean, that for me was just screaming out red flags. I'm sorry. Dubois, what's he done? He got knocked out by Joe Joyce. He jacked against Joe Joyce and then's beat Bum since. Trevor Bumman, what's he done? Nothing. Now, I don't know what. Apparently, my sources close to the situation have told me that the King basically expected Trevor Bumman to win. So it was almost an investment. Their plan was, okay, we beat Dubois, we get catapulted onto that main stage, and then we get the big one against AJ, against Fury. That was their plan. So maybe King in that case would have paid, but now King's thinking, wait a minute, I've lost the belt. This fighter, by the way, who King has invested many years and a lot of money, facts. This was really King's last shout. And he's been building this guy up. The man's trained by Stacey McKinley. Stacey McKinley had been saying for years that my man Trevor Bryan will roll up and smoke on the AJ pack and the Fury pack. That's what he was saying. So apparently, what I've heard is McKinley and Don King was gassed over this guy Trevor Bryan. And Trevor Bryan listen to the guy. He was talking that shit as well. And apparently, he gassed up all the people in the business, like Don King, and told them, yeah, go big on this one. I'm going to roll up Daniel Dubois, and then boom, we get the big one. 2-2s. It's not even like he lost in a close fight. Bumman got knocked out in one of the early rounds. So now, Don King's got no belt. The asset he's been building for many years. These training camps ain't cheap. Don King's been investing every year $100,000, $200,000 in all the training of his key fighter, Trevor Bumman. 2-2s. His main fighter now not only lost the belt, has been completely smoked, and it turns out he's a complete dud. So Don King's thinking now, shit, I was expecting this was supposed to be a huge investment that was going to pay out sixfold against someone like AJ. Yeah, big American champion Trevor Bumman just knocked out Daniel Dubois. Boom. Do you know what I'm saying? That's their plan. Their plan was to flip it into a big AJ or a big Fury fight. Now, the only thing he gonna be flipping is some burgers. Yeah, he ain't flipping nothing else. And Don King's sitting there down all the way bad thinking, that money, I'm basically got to pay Daniel Dubois now $3 million. For what? For nothing, just for the sake of paying him. Oops. So that's why Don King ain't going to pay. I reckon if Trevor Bryan had won, naturally he'd have been a lot more inclined to pay. Because think about it. If you don't pay, your fighter can't go nowhere. your whole promotion would be dead at that point, wouldn't it? If Bryan had won, Don King would have to pay. Because to go forward, he can't carry on. He wouldn't be able to carry on promoting Bryan and moving himself into the AJ fight, for example, without settling his former debts. That's what I've heard anyway from the inside source close to the situation. Facts. Big facts. Anyway. The WBA purse bid was 3.1 mil. And it beat a bid of 2.5 mil from Frank Warren. Under the terms of the purse bid, Bryan was entitled to 55%. Oh, and by the way, another thing I heard was the fact that Trevor Bryan, Don King was disgusted with the performance of Trevor Bryan. That's why he's saying, listen, I ain't paying this man 1.7 mil. 1.7 mil for what? Innit? Bear in mind, people, Trevor Bryan and his trainer have gassed everyone up, Don King included. Yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to knock Daniel Dubois out, then I'm going to knock AJ out. You can look at it yourself. Trevor Bryan for years has been saying he will knock AJ out. Gassing. Don King thinking, wow, I got a real winner here. Yeah? And it's not just a case of, well, maybe Don King was naive. Stacey McKinley, Mike Tyson's former trainer, really one of the key guys, old-timers, he was also gassing Trevor Bryan up to the highest extent, saying Trevor Bryan was a throwback fighter. Honestly, that's what the kind of hype it was. So Don King's out here thinking, yeah man, licking his chops, rubbing his hands together. Next thing you know, his man's on a heap on the floor, going out all the way sad with a big round bulbous belly. No good. Yeah, Don King thinking, wait a minute, I ain't paying this big useless Nick, big soft bubbly Father Christmas having ass, teddy bear looking ass. You know what I mean? I ain't paying him no money. Least of all 1.7 million. Honestly, go back and watch that. At the time, I was aggrieved. When I heard that Trevor Bryan was getting 2 mil for this fight, I thought the world's gone mad. And Trevor Bryan at the time obviously was licking his chops, thinking, ooh, I've just made 2 mil and jumped on the floor. Unbelievable. So I'm sorry, but people can say what they want. I'm glad Trevor Bryan has got bumped. Because that's how the world should work. The world's supposed to work, yeah. When you're a fraud, you get treated like a fraud. Yeah, you talk too much. Not only did you talk, you're just no good. He deserved to be scammed. I'm sorry. Yeah, he deserved. I ain't gonna say should he be paid something? Yeah, 20 grand. Tops. 20 grand for most people. That's 6 months' work. Yeah, and that's me being generous. Trevor Bryan, based on that performance, should get about 10 to 20,000, and that's extremely generous. About 1.7 million. Get serious, people. And that's why a lot of the time people say the Lord works in mysterious ways. And in this case, Trevor Bumman has been bumped. And I'm not being funny. Yes, does Daniel Dubois deserve to be paid? He does. I'd probably pay him about 200 grand, 300 grand. That's how much he deserves, because I'm not being funny. You went in there with a complete bum. Can I sit there and say Daniel Dubois earned 2 mil? I can't do that. So I hope to some extent he gets paid like 200 grand. And if Daniel Dubois gets paid 200 grand for that fight, he's made off like a bandit. He didn't take one punch, and the guy just jumped on the floor. That's a daylight robbery. Yeah. So the lesson to be learned here is, don't be trying to get something for nothing. Go in there go and get your get back with Joe Joyce. We know when Daniel Dubois rematches Joe Joyce, he'll get paid properly. This needs to be a lesson to everyone. Don't be trying to be too smart with things. Ooh, I'm going to get 3 mil for fighting a bum. No, that's just wrong. The universe don't like them ones. Yeah? Ooh, I'm going to fight a complete bum and get paid 2 mil. Nah, man. It don't work like that. Oops. And now look at you. Not getting nothing. And rightfully so. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that guy. Right now, I'm going to be that guy. I'm glad they've been bumped. Because that was a ridiculous amount of money for what they was really doing in there. It just was. These guys making life-changing money for just bum slaying. And it's not just him. I wish all of them would be bumped. When I heard about Gervonta Davis making 4 mil to fight Rolly. What the Rolly himself made over $1 million. The guy got no technique. The guy went in there and just got chinned. And I don't know, man. Listen, let me tell you now. If people are handing out 1.2 mil for me to get chinned, where can I sign up? I'll get a piece of that. I'll go in there, put my beak in there like this. Yeah? I can talk trash with the best of them. If you want me to sit there and call out Errol Spence and whatever else, the same way Rolly be doing, that's what I'll do. And I'll go straight in there, put my beak in the air, swing left and right and get chinned. Who can't do that? We can all do that. If they're handing out 1.2 mil to do it. No pride and no shame having asses. Anyway, according to the lawsuit, a copy of which was obtained by Big Fight Weekend, Dubois is suing for somewhere between 1 million and 500 grand. Oh, so apparently he might have actually been paid something. And if he was meant to get paid 1.4 mil and he's suing for, let's say he's suing for 1 million, that means he's already been paid 400 grand, which actually would make sense. Because what I'm aware that when you win a purse bid, you have to deposit something like, I'm not sure whether it's 10 or 20 or 25%. So it might be the case, or it's highly likely the case, Dubois received the initial deposit amount of 10 or 20%, which would make sense that, yeah, he needs $1 million left. He's probably been paid 400 grand. And that's why he's seeking damages for $1 million. But in my book, he don't need to be paid no more. In my book, there are no damages. Yeah? In my book, there is no loss of earnings here. You've been compensated handsomely. That's double what I told you he was worth. That fight was worth 200 grand tops. 400 grand. That's 10 years of hard-ass work. Of slave, life-denying, soul-grabbing work. 9-to-5 work. Innit? Call me a liar. 10 years of... You go and watch it. You tell me what you think. Dubois versus Trevor Bowman. Do you think Daniel Dubois earned 10 years of 9-to-5 soul, you know what I mean? Soul squeezing work? I don't think so. Never mind this figure here. It's just obscene. And I would honestly, when, let's say Dubois wants to rematch Joe Joyce, I'll be the first one to say, man, earn whatever you can earn. Because that fight means something. Do you get what I'm saying? I ain't a hater. If people are going in there, and doing something that means something, I'm earning as much as you can. But what we ain't going to do, I ain't going to sit here and be happy for someone just robbing the bank. This for me is a robbery. 2 million for that? Nah, man, it's a no from me. Yeah. That don't sit right with the universe, not even a little bit. So, let's say that plays out anyway. You've been bumped. Can't say I didn't warn you. Everyone saw it coming, to be honest. Even Frank Warren said it at the time. He nervous that there's a leak in the roof of the main event. Like, where are they doing that at? Where are they doing that at? Unbelievable. Anyway, in fact, there's some more information here. I'll stop rambling, but here we go. The parties also entered into a WBA championship bout contract, which indicates that 3% of Dubois' purse, or 50 grand, was supposed to be paid for the WBA for sanctioning fees for the bout from his purse. Pursuant to US federal law, Dubois was a foreign national. 30% or 500 grand was supposed to be deducted from Dubois' purse on behalf of his income withholding tax due to the United IRS. Wow. Upon payment of the purse. Lastly, the sum of 1,200 was also supposed to be paid from the purse of the WBA's manager's license fee for his manager, Martin Bowers. That's unbelievable. Uncle Sam, he want his too. That's wild. 30% gone. What a scam. Not sure who's running a worse scam here. Dubois versus Trevor Bryan or Uncle Sam. Assuming all of these payments were made, which proof has not been provided, nor has the WBA acknowledged receipt of these funds, the net purse of 1 mil was to be paid to Dubois by DKP immediately after the bout, in accordance with Florida State Boxing Commission letter of agreement between promoter and participant. Additionally, 500 grand was to be paid by Queensberry Promotions to DKP as a license fee for the right to broadcast the event live on television in the United Kingdom, which Dubois agreed to credit DKP, leaving an amount of 500 grand as the total net amount Dubois was supposed to receive immediately after the bout was completed. Interesting. So basically, they've got different. The financial structure here. It's not as simple as Don King owes 2 mil to Dubois. But either way, I mean, if Frank was smart, he should just hopefully he's withheld this 500 grand from BT, and that way, innit? If Don King owes you money, yeah, I hope for Frank's sake he didn't send his part first. If I was working with Don King, yeah, I'd be like, listen, Don, you pay us and then we'll pay you, innit? Just in case. Because think of it this way: if Frank owes the Don King 500 grand, if he sat back and waited to get paid by Don first, then boom, you can say, well, Don, you owe me 500 grand. You ain't paid it. We can net it out. Do you know what I'm saying? I'll pay Dan with the 500 I was supposed to pay you. Oops. But it sounds like maybe Frank was too trigger happy, assuming, and in fact, he did have an interview around the fight date saying, yeah, we expect to be paid and all that other stuff. Naturally, you would do. Frank Warren and Daniel Dubois wouldn't have gone to the fight if they didn't expect to be paid. I just think it's a bit of a schoolboy error, truth be known, but there we are. No doubt.